Da na 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 na. Simply.
Hi, I'm Ann from Keep It Simple. I'm going to show you this season how to make fast, affordable, and delicious meals, whether you're cooking for one person or for a lot of people. Everybody can do it. Anybody can do it. I've taught kids how to do it, and I've taught grown-ups how to do it. So join us this season for Keep It Simple.
Goulash. Goulash.
Hi, I'm Ann, and this is Keep It Simple. Today we are doing one of the easiest recipes that you can possibly imagine. Anybody can possibly do this. It's called goulash, but I've heard it called several other things too. And there's a variable of many different people that can make this dish any different way that you want. It's you can use ground turkey, hamburger, chicken, anything that you want meat source wise. Ground pork works fine in this too. It's a very affordable meal. It's probably $10 to $11 depending on what kind of meat you use. $10 to $11 to make the whole dish. You can do it all in one pan, and it feeds 4 to 6 people, so it's a pretty good hearty meal, and it's great. It's easy. I'm gonna give this a number 2 cook level only because you do have to do some cooking. It consists of boiling water and browning some meat, whatever you choose to use in this recipe. So it's very, very easy. Our ingredients today for the goulash is a 32-ounce can of V8 juice or vegetable juice. You can use generic, it doesn't matter because we actually add a lot of our own spices anyways. And a 1.5 pounds of hamburger or ground meat, whatever you're using, you know, whatever's on sale that week even, just works fine. Butter, a 12-ounce bag of macaroni. Those are in red because they're staples, and you can find the staple section on the website of Ann's Keep It Simple. And those are things that you'll have in the pantry or in the refrigerator, whether it's staples. And of course, garlic powder, oregano, just regular seasoning to go with that. And a loaf of French bread I'm going to use too. And that is included in the price of $10 and $11. I added in, it's $1 or $1.50 for a whole loaf of French bread. Toast it up, put some garlic and butter on there, you're good to go. So let's get started. I've got some water boiling here because I'm going to be cooking through, cooking up the macaroni. And this is a 12-ounce bag of elbow macaroni. You can use the spiral macaroni, you can use the shells, but keep it bite-sized because you're mixing it with the hamburger and everything else. It's just really nice to use with a big spoon and gobble it all up. It's real easy to use and everything else. So I'm going to stick the 12 ounces of macaroni. This is elbow macaroni I'm using, real simple. I'm going to go ahead and salt the water. And I'm also going to put just a pat of butter in with my pasta to keep it from sticking. And stir that up so it doesn't stick together. Water's already boiling and everything else. Now, if you're using just one pan to do this, you cook up the macaroni and you can have the macaroni draining in a strainer while you cook up the hamburger. I went ahead and used a separate dish just because I'm doing it all at the same time to show you. But I've already browned up a 1.5 pounds of hamburgers, what I'm using today, and I chopped up some celery. You can use celery salt too. If you don't have celery on hand, that's fine. And half of an onion in there, and I browned that up and cooked it all together and everything else, and I strained it. So you want to take off all the grease and everything on it because it's going to be flavorful enough, you know, with the cooked meat and everything else, and we're adding a bunch of vegetable juice to it too. So at this point, we're just going to go ahead and bring that back up to a boil and keep stirring it while it's cooking. And you cook up your pasta to however you like it, whether you want it al dente, you want it cooked pretty, you know, soft, that's fine too. Again, you can't screw this recipe up, it's so easy. So we're going to go ahead and bring that back up to a boil, let it cook through, and then we're going to combine everything together. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and drain off all the water on the macaroni, and I'm just pouring it into a strainer into the sink. It's nothing fancy. And the pot is of course still hot, and so that's really a good thing. You want to kind of keep in mind, don't put it back into another pot or anything, just use the hot pot again. It helps, like I said before, take off some of that moisture that's still in the macaroni. Drained it pretty good. pour that back in there, and it's going to steam, which is going to release a lot of that fluid that's still on there, but as far as the water is concerned. But we did add the salt already, so you don't want to salt it anymore at this point. So we're going to go ahead and put that back on the hot stove, and it'll keep, you know, drying out that pasta just a little bit. You can toss it maybe a little bit too. And at this point, if you've already drained your hamburger and everything else, which I have the pound and a half of hamburger here. I'm just going to go ahead and add the whole entire thing right into the pot. If you're using the same pot, this is where you would just add the hamburger back into the pot that you cooked it in. Now, I did cook up onions, a half of an onion and a couple celery stalks, you know, that I had said before, with the hamburger. And so that's just a few veggies that are mixed in there with that too. Carefully just start folding all that in together so you don't break up the pasta too much. I like it cooked pretty thoroughly but still have a bite to it. Now at this point you can eat it just like that if you'd like. But this is where I add the 32 ounces of vegetable juice. Now this is a bigger jug, but the 32 ounces is going to be plenty for you. I just go through a lot of this, so I buy it in the big jug. And this is half of the jug, so it's 32 ounces, pretty close. And I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of garlic powder. Just sprinkle some in there, you don't have to measure it out. Some oregano. Don't have to measure that either. A couple shakes of basil. Now you have to remember basil, a little goes a long way. It's very aromatic, it's very sweet, but it is strong. It's a very strong spice. So just a couple sprinkles in there, that's fine. If you go to your local dollar store or whatever else, you can get what's called Italian seasoning. You'll see that everywhere. It's like $1 for a big bottle of it. It's already got the garlic, oregano, basil, and everything in it. It's all measured out, pre-measured, and just, you know, use that instead. That's very affordable way to cut down on your spice amount of bottles or whatever. And it has everything already in it. I'm going to go ahead and turn the fire back on just really low to keep everything hot and heated together. And I'm going to go ahead and stir that in. Now, while that's reheating all the way through, you're just basically, that's all you're doing is reheating everything all the way through, because now everything's already cooked. I'm going to go ahead and preset the oven to 400. And I did get a loaf of French bread. And this is simple, simple, simple. It's $1.50 at your local, you know, supermarket, or sometimes you can even find them for $1. Just slice it in half. And what you're basically doing with this is just toasting it up in the oven. I use the oven because A, it's a very big piece of bread, but I want to put some butter and garlic on it. Nothing real fancy. Just lay your butter on there on each side once I've already, you know, split it up into halves. And this helps it toast too. Gives it a little bit of flavor. Butter's always good. Really simple. But this goes along with the whole hearty part of the meal. You've got some toast, nice garlic toast. If you're not a garlic lover, just toast it up with some butter, a little bit of salt, maybe some pepper, and your Italian seasoning. Like, it has all the same seasonings in it that the goulash does too. But I like to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And I'm going to use the garlic powder because I like it pretty garlicky. At this point, if you want to put some shredded mozzarella on here, you can. You can do whatever you want. And I'll just use the Italian seasoning just because it has everything already in it and measured out, combined together. And you don't want to overdo it because you just want that taste in each piece of crusty toast. Like that. Alright, and we'll go ahead and stick that in the oven. That's a 400-degree oven. It's still preheating, but it'll toast up really quickly. While this heats back through, maybe stir it a couple times just to get everything good and incorporated in there. And this is probably a good time because you're pretty much finished with this dish. That's how easy it really is. You can go ahead and taste it and see if you need more salt. Maybe a little bit more pepper. I'm a pepper freak. I love pepper and everything. But it really is plenty salty. The vegetable juice, of course, has salt in it. Sodium is in, you know, with the hamburger that you cooked up, and I always add salt to the water when I cook the pasta and the macaroni. So taste it before you ever add any more salt, because you've already got the sodium going on in there naturally anyway. And we'll let that finish heating through and toast up the bread. Will only take probably about another 5-6 minutes or so. It's been just about 5 to 7 minutes or so on 400 degrees. We've toasted up the French bread, and like I said earlier, just butter and garlic powder. That's all you need. If you want to put some shredded cheese on there or whatever, that's fine too. You can't mess this recipe up. Just make it to your liking. And this is already cooked down and cooked through and warmed through. That's essentially all you were doing, is warming everything back up and putting it together. And we give that a good stir. A lot of people, especially in my family, like the Parmesan cheese. I don't put it in the pan while it's cooking because it becomes sometimes very sticky. So wait until you get it to the plate and just add it, you know, have everybody add their own. Some people may not like the Parmesan cheese in it. So, but it is very hearty, very easy, very affordable, and it will feed literally 4 to 6 people easily. So there we have the goulash. It's always a big spoon for something like that. And we got some toast. We'll go ahead and just chop up some of that. And it's nice and garlicky. It's got some salt and pepper and Italian seasoning on there. And there you go. Great meal. Very easy, very quick. You can do it all in one pan. Enjoy, guys.
Give me some of that goulash.